Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. So many things have happened in our lives that happened in our childhood when we took everything on. We believed we were the center of the universe, and everything that happened around us, everything that happened to us, we believed was our fault. And when that happens, we tend to take on guilt. We tend to take on shame. We hold our emotions inside of ourselves, believing that there's something wrong with us. I want to share with you that I truly believe that these are co-creations of ours, so we can learn, we can grow, we can develop belief systems to take us through our lives. We can later develop gifts and talents through those belief systems so we can help others. And there comes a time that we're asked to awaken to the fact that there truly is nothing wrong with us, and each and everything that's happened in our life brings us a gift. And that story needs to be told. It needs to be shared, first of all, with ourselves, to tell ourselves the truth, to accept ourselves fully for who we are and what we're meant to be in the world, and then to share that story with others, so they too can find that there's nothing wrong with them, that everything that's happened in their life through a creation or co-creation is helping them be more of who they are. I'm with Vivian Cobb today. In 2017, Vivian attended her first Toastmasters meeting to improve her speaking skills. Her passion for sharing her story led to Vivian Cobb speaking. She has since become a two-time TEDx speaker. She's also an author. Due to many devastating personal challenges and losses in her life, Vivian is also an emotions advocate. She inspires others to understand how important it is to embrace emotions rather than hide from or stuff them. She's an international inspirational speaker, consultant to managers and team leaders, and a TEDx and private speaker coach. Vivian Cobb, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
I certainly am.
I am so happy to have you here. It's taken us a while to get together and to be able to share you and your story with the audience, but I'm so excited to be able to do it now. So once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Vince, for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, as you said, and we are finally here.
Vivian, the intros are always so short and really don't open people up to understand who you are. So could you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you're doing right now in the world?
That's a very complicated answer right there. We don't have that kind of time. Well, who I am right now, that is what I'd like to focus on. I am a woman who has gone through a lot in her life and has really morphed into someone who really knows who she is. And that is so exciting to finally be in that place in my life. And that has not happened just willy-nilly. There's been a lot of miracles, as you like to call them, along the way. Learning experiences and things that have led me to the path I'm on right now. I'm a speaker. I am in now corporations, helping them improve their corporate cultures, getting the toxicity out of the workplace. And I do that through helping people realize the importance of dealing with their emotions. As you know, as we all know, as the world knows, we have gone through a lot in the last 2.5, 3 years. a lot of things to grieve. Our way of life is no longer the same as it used to be. And so we need to deal with that so we can move forward in our lives and be our best selves. So that's who I am and what I'm doing now. And it's a great place to be. I just am so grateful. Yes.
I'm familiar with so much of your story, and I would love for you to share with the imagination what it is that got your attention and really started moving you towards, I know I need to be out there. I know I need to talk about emotions. I know I need to share my voice. What was that wake up call?
Interesting that you bring that up. And yes, you know my story very well. I actually started dabbling in the desire to be a speaker prior to the pandemic hitting. In fact, it was a dream of mine since I was 16 years old, but life got in the way. And like you said in the intro, in 2017, I started with Toastmasters and rekindled that passion that I had since I was a teenager. But it wasn't until 2020, March of 2020, when I actually got COVID, was one of the first in the city of Colorado Springs to get the disease, the virus, and I almost died from it. And that was probably the cosmic 2x4 to the side of my head. That was my wake-up call for sure. And when I was laying there in that state of being so sick, burning up with fever, not able to breathe, is when it all became really clear that I need to be out there telling my story. And even since 2020, that journey has morphed many times. But definitely I felt the calling, and that was the wake-up call, and it was very obvious.
I share with everyone when we first start chatting on each of the episodes that you'll say things that take us in the direction that this podcast needs to go. And there was several that you shared there already. So the first place I'd like to start is, could you tell us a little bit about, because when you were going through the COVID experience, you were extremely sick. And I know that the thought of you possibly leaving this earth was there. How did the thoughts in your brain go as you started to get back towards a healthier Vivian? Where did the thoughts go, and what was kind of the process you went through to realize that, okay, I need to get out and tell the story? And I'm asking you this because we all have wake-up calls, and sometimes we are, okay, I'm going to change my life, but then immediately life goes back to the same old way it was, and we let that new understanding or that calling go. So I'd love for you to share how you held on to it so others could understand how to hold on to theirs.
Great question, Vince, because I had another wake-up call prior to that one, but I guess it didn't, like you said, it didn't really take. And that was when I lost my husband, and I lost my house, and I lost everything, and I had to completely reinvent myself and rebuild my life. And I was in that process when I had this experience with being so sick with COVID. But like you said, I really wasn't taking it very seriously. And so that experience, that near-death experience where I really got to see the other side of the curtain and making the decision to not go there and to stay here. And it really was a decision. And that's a whole other, topic we can talk about another time. But holding on to that, I love how you said that, because that is exactly what I had to do and what I have done, is hold on to that feeling of, I'm here for a reason. I chose to be here. And it's like signing a contract almost. It's I've got to go forward with, I saw visions, I felt it in my body, I felt it in every cell of myself that I needed to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And there have been many times, I'm sorry to say, along the way where I've thought, why am I working so hard at this? Why, I should just live the easy life. Why am I trying to build another business? Why am I trying to get out there? And then I just remember the message was so loud and clear, and it was so profound. I refuse to ignore it this time. I hold on to it, and I just follow the dream and follow the calling. And it is hard to hold on to that because life does get in the way. And I've spent an incredible amount of time and money and effort and blood and tears and all the rest of it. But I just keep coming back to that vision of, yeah, this is what I need to be doing, and I'm going to keep going.
I love the way that you put that it was like signing a contract. And I really think that and once again, this is Imagine Miracles' point of view. This is Vince Kramer's point of view, but I really believe that we brought this purpose into the world. And we pretty much signed a contract with the energy stream that we are to make that happen. And the universe keeps calling and calling and calling. And we all have these experiences of, is it really worth it? But the calling doesn't go away, does it?
No, it certainly does not. It really doesn't.
And when we keep getting called and called, you shared earlier that things kind of morph. They change along the way because we have this tendency to say, okay, well, this is the way it's supposed to look, and I'm going to make it look this way, and it might not be the way. So could you kind of walk us through that morphing process that you had?
I would love to, because it's been quite the journey. I started off thinking that the story I need to share was the story about my grief journey and my forgiveness journey around my husband's passing. And then what happened from there was more about emotions and becoming an emotions advocate, which I am very passionate about, because it was through that process of dealing with my emotions that I actually healed and was able to get through the grief. You never get over it, but you can get through it. And I wanted to help others be able to do that. So it morphed into more of dealing with our emotions, not running from them, embracing them instead. But that really morphed into, I think, what I was absolutely supposed to talk about. And as you know, because you were one of the first people I told, it's been very difficult for me to even say it out loud. And the fact that I not only came from a place where I didn't tell anybody about this secret that I held in my heart and my life in 2020, to be able to stand on a stage in 2022 and tell the world, that was the biggest morph of all. And the calling of the universe saying, nope, yeah, this was, you're dabbling in grief. Okay, that's okay. And you're dabbling with emotions. That's okay. But this is what you need to be talking about. And that process has been excruciating at times. Talk about wanting to quit and run and go live in a cave somewhere and not face that fear and that shame that I carried for my entire life. But to finally be able to stand on a stage and tell it to the world, that was amazing. And the premise is to not be a secret keeper, but be a truth teller. And that's where that's big deal. Big deal.
I love that phrase, secret keeper to truth teller. I think it's so important. And I want the imagination to know, because this podcast is all about helping people, first of all, know they're not alone, and then to realize that there's hope, to truly be who you are, to live that reason you're here. And we're all on that journey somehow or another. And with what you just shared here, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about actually finding your story, because um, as I looked at my research, as I went through the times that we've spent together in the Imagine Miracles programs, I remember that you actually had to find the story. You had to allow the story to come back up to you. Could you speak to that process?
Yes, I would be happy to. And truly, your program that I did in 2020, right after my near-death experience, which I was very confused. Well, maybe confused is not the right word, but we'll use it, because I had had this incredible, profound experience, and I really didn't know what to do with it. I didn't even know if I should tell anybody that I had it. And when I signed up to be in your program with Mary, that was just such an incredible place for me to be able to talk about that experience. And we processed that, through the course and even one-on-one together. But in that process, I was able to look at other profound experiences in my life, and things started coming back to me, and being able to look at the egos that were keeping things suppressed or protecting me, and going through that whole idea that it's okay to have those protectors, but at some point you have to make friends with them and say, I need to go further. It's time for me to see what I need to see so I can go further in my life. And that truly was the beginning of all of that when we worked together in 2020. And then being able to make friends with the egos, tell them it's okay, that I'm strong enough now to deal with what I need to deal with. All of that it's a process, and it's not an easy process, but it's a necessary process if we want to reach our fullest, greatest potential. I hope I answered your question.
You did. Thank you so much. So we all have this story of us, who we are, and that story is something that, one, is helping us on our journey to our learning, our growth, but it's also important to tell the story. Could you share, from the storyteller's point of view, why it's important for us to share our stories?
Oh my goodness. This is probably the thing I am most passionate about. And the journey really did start when I walked into Toastmasters. That's where I found my voice, literally found my voice, because I grew up in a household where I considered myself invisible, and I did not say anything. I kept it all inside, hence the secret keeper. And at the age of 57, to finally walk in somewhere where I felt like I could speak and that people would actually listen, and then to find out they wanted to listen, was so empowering. It was an incredible experience. So it is so important to say it out loud. I know there's all kinds of science behind that, but I've lived that and I've experienced that. And once I started talking, I haven't haven't stopped. And I've gotten on stages like TEDx because I just had this need to really tell my story. But yes, I found my voice in Toastmaster. I started talking about things that I never thought I would talk about. How my husband, I loved him dearly, but he left me in a very financially devastated way, and that I had a lot of anger about that, and I had to process that and get through that, and then I had to forgive him for that. And then that led to, like I said before, the emotions and all the emotions that I've kept inside myself since my childhood, because I had a very traumatic childhood. I was abused as a child on several different levels, including sexually. And so then I started talking about that and getting that story out of myself. And then that led to the big one, the TEDx talk, where I revealed that I actually suffer from conversion disorder, which I didn't tell anybody for decades. And I'm grateful I don't have it now. I don't have symptoms now, but it was a very disruptive thing to experience in my 30s as a young mother, and to tell that story. And I have to tell you, Vince, that this point in my life, I have never felt more free, more light, more powerful, strong. It's just been a miracle. And I think telling our story is the absolute most powerful thing we can do for ourselves.
Now, the interesting thing across the board is we tend to keep those secrets. We tend to be a secret keeper because we look at ourselves as there's something wrong with us because of the experience that we have. So the healing really sounds like, for you, and I think for all of us, the healing comes from being the truth teller, to tell ourselves the story, and how that really is our truth instead of what we're holding in the secret. So I think that is so powerful. Not everybody needs to get on stage and tell the story, right? How can they tell their story in a way that helps them heal?
Well, I loved what you said. It's telling the story to yourself. That's the start, right? That's the beginning of it. That to actually look in the mirror and say and embrace that this is what happened and that it's okay. And you're right. We keep those secrets because we think we did something wrong, or there's something wrong with us. And when I mentioned before the shame I used to feel, it took me so long to figure out that shame didn't belong to me. That was my abuser shame that I took on and carried with me. And to be able to purge that out of myself and realize, wait a second, I was this sweet little innocent girl. Why am I ashamed? But you're right. That's what we take it on. And the power of just voicing it, and you're right, it doesn't have to be on stage. And the reason, that's my calling is to be on stage, tell my truth, my stories, to help other people. And I really do. People come to me and go, oh my gosh, thank you. I put a voice to other people's emotions. That's my gift. But you're right. No, but not everybody needs to do that. That's kind of the extreme version. Just tell the truth to the people you trust and love. Even if you have to hire a therapist to tell somebody, or a coach, but somebody you trust that you can voice, because like I said earlier, it is so important to say it out loud, or write a book, write a journal. Just get it out of yourself, get it out of your heart, your mind, your cells in your body, so that you can be free from the shame or whatever else you're feeling about the secret that you're keeping.
Thank you for sharing that in that way. We're getting close to the end of our time, and I want to make sure that I get this question out. So, how have you learned to understand emotions? How do you, where you've learned to, the importance of embracing emotions, how does that come into the corporate or the organizational world?
That I'm an emotional person. Let's just start there. I've always been a sensitive soul since I was a little kid, and I was told, toughen up and get a thick skin. Well, that never happened. I just got quiet. That's where the being invisible and not speaking came from. And as I've learned to embrace my own emotions and who I am, that I am an emotional being, we all are, really, all humans are, but to different degrees we experience our emotionality. And how I've morphed into the corporate person is I want to help people, especially during this time with the Great Resignation and people having to go back into work, or the hybrid situation. I mean, the workplace has just changed so dramatically in the last 3 years. And people are realizing, wait a second, I want to be happy at work. I don't want to go to a workplace where I'm expected to hang my emotions on the coat rack along with my coat and just go in and do my job. People, that's not enough anymore. People want to be seen. They want to feel safe to feel their emotions. They need a safe place for that. And we spend so much time at work that our workplace needs to be a safe place. If we're having a bad day, we need to be able to say we're having a bad day, and that the expectation isn't that we're just going to push through it, that we might need a little grace on that day from our leadership. Those are the things that are going to help bring back a healthy workplace, a non-toxic workplace. And that is my hope, is that I can go in and help organizations and corporations create a different environment for their employees so that they want to come to work and they want to stay at work. They don't want to quit. They don't want to sabotage. They don't want to backbite. All the things that we act out as humans when we are really deeply unhappy. If we can air those emotions and get them out on the table, then everybody can be more productive and the retention will be a lot higher.
And in that support, it gives us all an opportunity to do not just the healing that we need to do, but to help others do the healing that they have in front of them also. So I think that's a very powerful way to start moving into that we consciousness that we've talked about many times on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, Vivian, we're truly getting close to that end of time. Is there a parting piece of guidance that you would love to share?
I would love to tell your listeners that whatever they feel is okay and is correct. Whether it's joy, whether it's sadness, doesn't matter. We need all of it. We need all of it to be complete as humans, and not to be afraid of what our culture calls negative emotions. I call them our learning emotions. Those are the ones that give us so much wisdom. So when you're feeling angry or sad or angsty, there's a reason for that. And look at that and process that so that you can go back to the higher vibration of being joyful and experiencing love.
As you know, I believe that wholeheartedly. Our emotions are a communication system, and there's so much information in there if we just allow ourselves to look at it from that aspect. I know there's people that want to know more about you. They want to hear your TEDx talks. How can they find you?
It's really easy. I made it really easy. Vivian, it's www.viviancobbspeaking.com. Everything is on my website. My TEDx talks on my website. you can send me email or get in touch with me on my website. So yeah, viviancobbspeaking.com.
And as everyone knows, I'll make that information available on Vivian's show page. Just go to themiracleu.com, look for Vivian's show page. All that information will be available. We'll put her bio on there so you can learn even more about her, and definitely take the time to listen to the TEDx talks. Vivian, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for what you're bringing to the world. And thanks for sharing your information, your guidance, your story with the imagination.
My pleasure, Vince. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. On behalf of myself and Mary, my wife and business partner, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleu.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleu.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.